Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Q's on the Move. My name is Brother Jason Miller, and I am the Mu chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, Montgomery County, Maryland, Social Action Chairman. Today's podcast will focus on the great work that the Mu chapter is doing in Montgomery County, Maryland, and the 2nd District. At this time, I will take a few minutes to give a brief overview of the Mu chapter, graduate chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated in Montgomery County, Maryland. Mu is a graduate chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated with approximately 130 active members, 52 years, coming up on 53, of serving students and families of Montgomery County, Maryland. Founders of the famed George B. Thomas Senior Learning Academy, now known as the Saturday School, founders of the Rudolph W. Snowden Memorial Scholarship Fund, home up to the 16th, 34th, and 37th Omega Psi Phi Fraternity 2nd District Representative. Our chapter's focus is social action, mentoring, health and wellness, political action, and fundraising for scholarships. Tonight's first podcast segment is about Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated health and wellness programs. We would like to welcome this evening Brother Dr. Lorenzo Prillman, Mu Chapter's Vice Basilis, also known as the Vice President. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Brother Miller.
And how are you doing, brother?
Doing great, Brother Miller. Thank you for having me on this evening to talk about health and wellness.
Outstanding. Let's get right into the conversation. Health and wellness is important to many people in this country and around the world. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown how critical it is for everyone to maintain their physical and mental health. Being the month of March is National Nutrition Month, we thought it was important to share with our podcast listeners some valuable information on how to promote a healthy lifestyle. Briefly share with our podcast listeners a brief overview of National Nutrition Month.
All right, yes. So when we talk about National Nutrition Month, this is an annual campaign created 50 years ago in 1973 by the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. During the month of March, everyone is invited to learn about making informed food choices and developing healthful eating and physical activity habits. This year's theme is Fuel for the Future. Eating with sustainability in mind is a tasty way to nourish ourselves during every phase of life and protect the environment. A registered dietitian nutritionist can help everyone create healthy habits that are sustainable and celebrate our unique needs.
Outstanding, outstanding. And how can students and families participate in National Nutrition Month?
Yes, during the month of March, the National Academy of Nutrition actually puts out some guidelines for families to follow each week. For example, the first week of March, one of the guidelines was for families to eat with the environment in mind, meaning enjoy more plant-based meals and snacks, purchase food with minimal packaging, buy foods in season and shop locally when possible, and start a container or backyard garden to grow food at home. So very important to have naturally grown foods, foods with less sodium, plays an important role in ensuring good health.
Very important. Want to make sure everybody's healthy and able to do the jobs that they need to do without any health complications. What are some key dietary guidelines to follow for embarking upon a healthier lifestyle?
All right, yes. So as you see before you, some of the things that we need to think about when it comes to our dietary needs. One, again, as I talked about, low sodium, less 1 to 40 milligrams per serving. Sodium, especially for African Americans, that is something that we need to avoid. No sugar added, another big thing for many African Americans. So if you can buy teas and things of that nature that has no sugar added. That is something that will be very helpful. I know peak tea is something that is very popular now that people are using and a substitute for sugary types of teas. Whole grain items with at least 8 grams. Also, low fat, less than 3 grams per serving. And a big one is fiber. Fiber items greater than 10% of daily value. Fiber plays an important role in the, of course, digestive health. And finally, organic items certified by USDA.
Outstanding. Thank you for that overview, Brother Prillman. And I want to thank you for taking the time to share the important work the Health and Wellness Committee of the MUNU chapter with our podcast listeners this evening.
You're welcome. No problem. All right, so we're going to move into segment 2 this evening of our podcast, which focuses on MUNU chapter's Adopt a Road program. We will be speaking with Brother Jason Miller and the community service work the MUNU chapter Health and Wellness Committee is doing in Montgomery County to improve the environment through the Adopt a Road program. All right, let's get right into the conversation this evening. Brother Miller, please provide our podcast listeners with a brief history of the Adopt a Highway program.
Oh, no problem. Thank you so much. It all started in the Lone Star State of Texas. An individual by the name of, in 1963, an individual by the name of James R. Evans, also known as Bobby, then a young engineer in the San Angelo district, was assigned to show an educational film to civic organizations and schools. This would later become what we know as the Adopt a Road program. Since that time, the Adopt a Road program has been developed and cultured throughout the country. And what the work that's being done here in Maryland is Department of Transportation State Highway Administration Adopt a Road program lets community groups show their state pride and keep the free state litter free. Keeping our roads free from litter and debris improves the health of our environment. It enhances the experience of driving in Maryland for both residents and visitors. Since the Adopt a Road program started here in Maryland in 1989, MDOT has partnered with more than 120,000 Marylanders who have cleaned over 15,000 miles of roadside. So how the program works is small businesses and other MDOT approved organizations may participate in this program. Recognition of tourist-related facilities is acceptable. Groups agree to adopt a 1 mile stretch of highway to clean it at least 4 times a year. At least one member of the group must be 18 years of age or older. Children's 12 through 17 years old may participate with adult supervision. For safety reasons, of course, children under the age of 12 are not allowed to participate in litter pickup events.
All right, so wow, okay, 4 times a year for the Adopt a Road program for an organization. Doesn't seem like a big lift. All right, so great work there. How can students and families participate how can the, of course, Adopt a Highway program actually benefit the citizens of Montgomery County, Maryland? Because you've been talking about the state of Maryland and how this program has evolved from the Lone Star State of Texas in the 80s. But how has this program benefited the citizens of Montgomery County, Maryland?
Well, to keep it simple, 1, it keeps our streets clean, keeps our areas clean in Montgomery County, and 2, the visibility. To be able to drive through certain areas and not see the debris and litter, it really beautifies the county of Montgomery, and it just provides a more valuable and sustainable environment for people to either live or visit. So I think the biggest takeaway from the Adopt a Road program is 1, the service, being able to clean up the community that you live in, and 2, be able to take pride in that sense of, okay, this is something that we own, this is something that is in our name, and it allows us to take pride in the sense of ownership with this Adopt a Road program.
All right, excellent. All right, and last question I have for you this evening: what area of Montgomery County, Maryland, will New Chapters Adopt Highway Program efforts serve? So, what part of Montgomery County is it serving currently?
Outstanding. Great question. We are located, our adopter road is located in the southern part of Montgomery County, right in Silver Spring, Glenmont, Aspen Hill area, from Belpre Road all the way up to Connecticut Avenue, from Georgia Avenue, actually, all the way up to Connecticut on Belpre Road, located right there before Leisure World, going towards Olney.
Okay, right there, Georgia Avenue area. Okay, excellent. All right, and so for all of our podcast listeners, if they're driving down that way, they'll be able to see the Minu chapter adopt the road sign there, and from time to time, seeing brothers work out on the road and keeping the area clean. So great work there with the Adopt the Road program. So thank you, Brother Miller, for providing us with this important update about the work the Brothers of Munu chapter are doing to improve the environment and promote clean highways. Thank you.
No problem at all. Next this evening, we're going to go back to Brother Dr. Prillman, our Vice President and Bossalis, who will share with our podcast listeners information about the history and importance of the March of Dimes initiative. So we're going to jump right into the conversation. Brother Prillman, please provide our podcast listeners with a brief history on the founding of the March of Dimes organization.
All right. Thank you, Brother Miller, for the chance to speak upon the March of Dimes. I think is very important to many of our podcast listeners when it comes to the health of many of our young infants. And so we start with this a brief history. When we talk about the March of Dimes organization, this organization was actually founded on the eve of World War II in 1938. And one of the major, of course, founders was President Franklin D. Roosevelt. For many of us who probably are not familiar with FDR, he suffered from paralysis from polio. And that's why in many of the photos you would see of FDR, he was always sitting down because he could not stand because of the disease of polio that had really impacted his body. During this time period, the creation of the National Foundation of Infantile Paralysis was found, which would be better known as the March of Dimes. It pioneered the vaccine research leading to the eradication of polio in the U.S. Once it did that, it shifted its focus to address the biggest health threats to moms and babies with innovations like folic acid, newborn screening, and surfactant therapy. Today, we serve as an organization as a convenient to unite the nation and improve maternal and infant health in the U.S. So the March of Dimes has had a long history, and it was, of course, birthed out of the research around polio. So once polio was eradicated, the new shift of focus was on making sure that babies were being born healthy and strong.
Outstanding. Appreciate you letting us know about the purposes and objectives behind the organization known as the March of Dimes. What is the Munu chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated doing to join millions to fight to prevent babies being born with birth defects?
Yeah, every year, Munu chapter leads the way in holding a campaign to raise funds for the March of Dimes. It's a worthy cause. We all probably have had family members impacted by premature births, and etc. And so we want to make sure we do our part in raising funds for this organization. So when you go to www.marchforbabies.org, you will be able to click on a donate button, and it will take you to the various organizations that are actually holding current fundraisers, and you will find Munu Qs. There, you'll click on and enter the team name, which is Munu Qs, and then you click on the donate tab. So those are the steps you see right before you on how to make your personal donation to the Munu Chapter Qs fundraising campaign for the March of Babies. And it's a worthy cause. So I encourage all of our podcast listeners to go there right now and make your donation to the March of Dimes.
Outstanding, outstanding. Well, I want to thank you, Brother Dr. Prillman, for providing our listeners with this important update regarding the annual March of Dimes fundraising efforts. MUNU chapter and our podcast listeners look forward to supporting this event in the upcoming future.
All right, thank you. All right, Brother Miller, so we're going to turn it back over to you for this one last segment we have with regards to the blood drive, Charles R. Drew blood drive that's coming up. So, Brother Miller, let's take it away from here, and we'll hear a little bit about this particular program from Brother Brandon Ledyard. So, Brother Miller.
All right. So, as you mentioned, our final segment of today, which focuses on MUNU chapter's partnership with the American Red Cross to combat sickle cell disease. 1 in 3, that's 3, African-American blood donors are a match for people with sickle cell disease. To help ensure patients have the blood products they need, the American Red Cross is working with partners in the African-American community, like, for example, our chapter, the MUNU chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, to grow the number of blood donors who are African-American, of course. Here this evening, we have one of the spearheaders and chairman for this event, Brother Ledyard, who will share with us some additional information about this important blood drive happening this Saturday, April 1st. Brother Ledyard, appreciate you joining the call today.
Thank you, Brother Miller, for having me on today.
Outstanding, outstanding. So, Brother Ledyard, can you tell our podcast listeners about the person, Brother Dr. Charles R. Drew, in which the blood drive is named after?
Yeah, so Dr. Charles Drew was a famous surgeon and researcher. He was from Washington, D.C. area, and he also had a long career as a researcher and also a professor at Howard University. And on April 1st, the American Red Cross nationally recognizes that day as Dr. Charles Drew Day. And that is the anniversary of his death. Unfortunately, he did die kind of young, about in his 40s, from a car accident. But before he passed, he was able to revolutionize the practice of storing blood. So he organized the first large-scale blood bank in the United States. And so this kind of helped with a lot of things as far as, with wars and things like that. So, and that's why he got the name of the father of the blood banking. So Dr. Charles Drew was very important for helping this country be able to store blood for longer periods of time when people are donating those blood and to be available for people who are having transfusions.
Outstanding, outstanding. Can you also provide our listeners with the purpose and objectives behind this Saturday, April 1st's Dr. Charles R. Drew blood drive?
Yes. So African Americans, we are the majority of the people living with sickle cell disease are African Americans. Probably about 80 to 90% of people with sickle cell disease, and also people have the sickle cell trait. But in what we're going to do is that for us to donate blood, we increase the supply of blood and donors who are able to match up who have sickle cell disease. It's very important that you have blood that matches not only blood type, but also based on ethnicity, because there are certain things within the blood that only certain ethnic populations will match. And if you increase the blood supply, in which this initiative is for, then you provide an opportunity for people who have sickle cell disease, who often need these blood transfusions, not to have complications because of a match that is not quite matching their ethnicity. While it may be the same blood type, certain things within the blood need to match within certain ethnic groups. And that's why we need to increase the blood supply of African Americans throughout this country. And the unfortunate thing is that African Americans, we donate blood about half the rate of our white American counterparts. So this is an effort to try to, talk to people and advocate for people to go to their American Red Cross or whatever entity that's near them to be a regular blood donor giver.
Outstanding. I did mention that this event is happening this Saturday, April 1st. Brother Ledyard, can you please inform us of where this event will be taking place?
Yeah, so what we're doing is that a collection of us within the Mutiny chapter in Montgomery County, about 16 brothers have signed up, and we're going to give blood at the Blood Donation Center and American Red Cross in Rockville, Maryland. And our appointments are going to go from 7:45 to about 11 o'clock. And so, we're going to fellowship there, and we're going to support each other to give blood. And there'll also probably be some members who will come out and just show support for the members who did sign up to give blood. And what I would say to the fellow podcasters who may be listening, the way that you can support this endeavor is to download the app or also locate your nearest Red Cross or a blood drive and sign up and give blood. Also look for the Mutiny chapter in Omega Psi Phi to partner with some other fraternity chapters within the area, and that we're going to have some blood drives, hopefully about 2 to 3 blood drives per year. So you should see some information come down the pipe in the next month or two about some individual blood drives. And what we're hoping is that we can have our own blood drive of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity in this area and try to bring not only members of the fraternity, but also members of their family, anybody over 18, your spouses, or friends. You don't have to be a member of the fraternity to give blood within our blood drive. So we're hoping within that effort we can increase the amount of African Americans giving blood in this area in Montgomery County and also in Maryland.
Wow. Excellent work, brother. I applaud you spearheading this event, and I can't wait to support, and I know our listeners are just ready to do the same. Thank you, Brother Ledyard. We appreciate everything, and thank you for sharing information on Mutiny Chapter's upcoming blood drive work and partnership with the American Red Cross. We look forward to seeing all of the Mutiny Chapter brothers and supporters in attendance this Saturday, April 1st.
Thank you, Brother Miller. Thank you, Brother Prillman.
Right. Thank you, Brother Ledyard. We will now move to sharing several announcements before closing out tonight's program. All right. So first, I want to make mention of our Corridor 1 Memorial Service, which was held on Sunday, March 12th, to honor the founding fathers of the greatest fraternity in the world, the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and to memorialize those brothers who have entered Omega chapter during the past year. So this was an outstanding event that is held every year at Lincoln Cemetery, and we get a chance as a fraternity to honor our lost brothers and pay homage to them. And so I just wanted to make sure this evening we highlighted that within our podcast show. All right, the next announcement focuses on the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated 75th Second District Conference, which will be held from April 20th through April 23rd in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. All right, so for those who are in the Northeastern Corridor, you know about this annual event of many of the districts of the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated and the many events that take place during these district conferences. So again, please support our brothers of Iota Phi in Pittsburgh and supporting many of the activities they have planned, not only for the Brothers of Mutiny Chapter, but also for the general public as well. So check out the website, see what activities are going to be provided for the general public. And we look forward to seeing not only our brothers of the fraternity, but also people within the general public as well attending our events. All right, the next event we have for announcements is the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Inc. Leadership Conference, which will be held from July 11th through the 16th in Nassau, Bahamas. And so this is an opportunity for many of the brothers of the fraternity who are looking to become leaders within their own chapters and then within their own districts, a chance for them to get the proper training they need to move to that next level. This is also a time for many of our brothers to enjoy time again away with their families as well. So we look forward to seeing many of our brothers at the leadership conference coming up July 11th through July 16th. All right, and our final announcement for this evening focuses on the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated 84th Grand Conclave, which will be held from June 26th to July 2nd, 2024 in Tampa, Florida. The Brothers of the Fraternity, we had a great time in Charlotte in 2022, and we look forward to even a greater time in Tampa, Florida. So again, for many of our podcast listeners who like to follow members of Omega Psi Phi and many of the events that they have, just keep a close eye out for upcoming information about the 84th Grand Conclave. We look forward to seeing you in Tampa, Florida. All right, at this time, we're going to end our podcast with a few closing remarks. We want to thank you for joining this podcast segment of Q's on the Move. The next Q's on the Move podcast segment will be held on Tuesday, April 25th at 8:00 p.m. I would like to share with you this evening these final words from the members of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. As we conclude our podcast segment this evening and Women's History Month, please keep in mind and continue to pray for the African American leaders of the past, present, and future who have and will continue to shape in a positive way the plight of African Americans and people of African descent in this country. Until next time, be the change you wish to see in the world. Be well and stay safe. Have a great evening.
Take care, everyone.